The NFL draft may be over, but the Chicago Bears are not done building this roster. And Ryan Poles just added a hard-hitting physical safety, and this one could fly under the radar. I'll say why he's flying under the radar and why he was signed as a UDFA. We're talking about Skyler Thomas. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And Skyler Thomas, we got to talk a little bit about him, man. Skyler Thomas was another UDFA signed by the Chicago Bears. He's a safety out of Oregon State, where he played all of his collegiate career at, didn't transfer, he was there the whole time. And while Skyler Thomas may not jump out the stat sheet at you with what he was able to do as a four-year senior with that, this is a guy that has a lot of transferable skills. Now, I want to be clear. He may end up turning into a special teams guy, but at the height of it, he could be your backup safety, which Chicago Bears already shown with Jonathan Owens, is having a solid backup safety that come in there and do multiple things is really good. Over his 4 years at Oregon State, he had 191 tackles, 109 of those being solo, 14 passes deflected, 3 interceptions, 1 forced fumble as well, no sacks. This is a guy that excels in tight coverage situations on tight ends and running backs, and he's a run support defender as well. All things that Dennis Allen could very well look to use in that. He has a limit effectiveness in the deep coverage, but we'll talk a little bit about where that's held at for him that keeps him from being one of the top level prospects in regards to it. But he is already known for the leadership that he brings, the high volume that he brings, and also the special teams experience that he brings as well. He fits the character of the versatile type of players that Dennis Allen does like in the backfield. When you look at it specifically in coverage, right? He moves like a jumbo cornerback, which, I think is going to be good in Dennis Allen's system potentially. He's 6'2", 212 pounds, so he does have that jumbo corner type makeup and physicality to his game. That all makes a lot of sense for him there. When you look at it, when he matches up well with tight ends and slot receivers, he's shown to do that really good. He's shown the ability to be split safety and has a really good lateral quickness to stay with most receivers, especially those slot receivers, which I really think. But his downhill instincts and his run support is something that really stands out about him a lot as well in his versatility. So I think that downhill play and the run support factors into why he's been such a good special teams player over the course of his career as well, because he has very much so been that. This guy can be a gunner on special teams for you. And I think that we've seen the importance of having a guy that can do things like that. So again, I don't try to gas it with these signings. I do try to bring what they can bring functionality-wise. So I think immediately he's going to be a guy that can come in and help on special teams. Outside of that, I think on clear rundowns, he can be one of those multiple defensive backs that Dennis Allen likes to put in there, even if he's not lining up at safety specifically. I honestly would not be surprised if Dennis Allen tries to get a little bit creative with Skyler Thomas and even lining him up as that third linebacker in some clear rundowns and things like that. That way he can drop back in coverage if something does happen with that as well. And his ability to guard running backs and tight ends really close in coverage, I think those really stand out about things that he can bring strength-wise to the Chicago Bears or any NFL team right away. He's going to have to work. He's going to have to show that his strengths can overcome some of his weaknesses, because I think when it comes down to it, there are some pretty big weaknesses that you have to look at for him as well. So let's just recap the strengths first. We'll get into the weaknesses. His coverage versatility is really good, specifically on tight ends and slot receivers. He has the lateral quickness that you really look for in that. Even when people try to break out routes, he's really good in that one. He brings the physicality that you want at that safety position. He knows how to use that size that he has to really disrupt, especially bigger tight ends, and he gets into traffic with that physicality. Special teams value is extremely high for him. He has the chance to be one of those players that, and I know calling somebody a special teams star may not stand out, but I do think, for those that pay attention to that side of the ball, do not be surprised, especially in preseason, you hear his name a lot. And then the reaction and run support. He reads it quickly when it comes to the run game. He has a high level of IQ and anticipation in run support specifically, and his ability to get downhill and stop the running calls fits there is great. And everybody's talked about how he was a captain as a senior, the leadership that he brings. And you always want guys with good character, especially as the Bears are trying to build culture. So I think that. But for the people who ask questions, well, why wasn't he drafted? And I think one is the speed, right? He doesn't have the elite top-level speed. That's why when I talk about him in coverage, the slot receivers, the tight ends, running backs, he's really good at covering those guys in coverage, and the downhill really stands out to him. But deep in coverage, he lacks some of that higher-level elite speed where he can get burnt down there a little bit. So, that's going to limit his game quite a bit, especially in the Dennis Allen defense. Now, can he overcome that some? I mean, he doesn't really have speed to speed, right? You don't really gain more speed, but I do think the technique and the IQ that he has, maybe that can translate to where he can overcome some of that with the physicality as well. Now, while I did say that he is a very physical safety, which he is, there is some times that he tends to lunge a little bit too much and miss tackles. He's a willing tackler. He doesn't shy away from physicality at all, but he's going to have to get those wrap-up techniques together. Now, that is something that I do think is fixable with coaching. He can learn to wrap up better. He can learn to be a better technique guy with the tackling. And if that happens, I think he'll be perfectly fine in that one. Now, he did tear an ACL in 2023 in spring practices, which was repaired. He had a good recovery last year as well, but that is some of the reason why, there was some doubt around him why he wasn't drafted as well. It's just injuries, things like that. Those are things that, are going to cause anybody a little bit of concern there, right? And then I do think at times he relies a little bit too much on the physicality. And I wonder in the NFL, especially against stars, he's going to get some weird whistles when it comes down to that one. He does have the sound fundamental. So that's clear there, right? But I do think that sometimes because he knows how physical he is and how a lot of, especially slot receivers and tight ends, don't really deal with that overly well, that physicality that he brings can lead to a little bit too much of that when it comes down to it. So I do think he's an inside the box safety. And that could also be a limitation for him in Dylan Allen's system. He likes safeties that can go inside the box, outside the box. He is an inside the box safety when it comes down to it. And a special teamer. I think if you can utilize him, clear rundowns, run support, Dennis Allen, how he likes to have multiple defensive backs, he lines the defensive back up at linebacker. I do think that uniquely in the Chicago Bears system, there could be a little bit of wrinkle there for him, but he's going to have to show that he can bring that together, and that's going to have to come with the IQ. That's going to have to come with him really maximizing the things he does well and showing how that can help a team out. So, overall, if it wasn't for Dennis Allen's proclivity to defensive backs, it may be a longer shot for him, right? But, I'm not saying he's going to make the team in year one. Look for him to maybe be a practice squad guy, something like that. There's going to be a competition on the depth chart, but that path to special teams, that's going to be the thing. If he can make a big name for himself on special teams, as big as you can on special teams, but just show that downhill ability and that smart running technique to get there, I think that's going to be, a path for him. He's probably going to be more practice squad than active roster right away, while they look to see how much of those things translate a little bit for him. But overall, Skyler Thomas, another solid UDFA signing by Ryan Poles to at least take a look at. We'll see what the future does hold for him. But that's going to do it for today's breakdown on Skyler Thomas when it comes down to it. I think this is a nice under-the-radar move potentially for the Chicago Bears. But let me know how you guys are feeling on it down below. Do you like him? Do you don't? Do you think he fits? Let me know what you guys think on that. Make sure you guys like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.